Washington, the first woman to serve on the nation's highest court, is dead at 93. Sandra Day O'Connor, a groundbreaking justice on the U.S. Supreme Court, died Friday in Phoenix, Arizona, of complications related to advanced dementia, probably Alzheimer's, and a respiratory illness, according to an announcement from the court. President Ronald Reagan nominated O'Connor in 1981, and she was confirmed by the full Senate 99-0 in September of that year. The moderate O'Connor, who served on the bench until her retirement in 2006, was often the decisive vote in major cases that reached the Supreme Court in her nearly quarter-century as Associate Justice. The justices issued rulings in high-profile cases during O'Connor's tenure, including Bush versus Gore, which settled the 2000 presidential contest in George W. Bush's favor, and Planned Parenthood of Southeastern Pennsylvania versus Casey, a 5-4 decision that affirmed the constitutional right to an abortion, but with leeway for states to impose some restrictions. O'Connor sided with the majority in both cases. She was consequential. Journalist and historian Evan Thomas told the National Archives in 2019 while promoting his biography, First Sandra Day O'Connor. She cast the so-called swing vote 330 times in 24 years, Thomas said. And where it really mattered was in abortion rights and affirmative action, he said, referring to several cases, including Grutter versus Bullinger, which upheld the consideration of race in the University of Michigan's law school admissions. In 2022, O'Connor's successor, Justice Samuel Alito, wrote the majority opinion overturning Planned Parenthood versus Casey and Roe v. Wade, striking down abortion rights at the federal level. A true public servant and trailblazer, Chief Justice John Roberts, said in a statement Friday that O'Connor blazed an historic trail as our nation's first female justice. She met that challenge with undaunted determination, indisputable ability, and engaging candor. We at the Supreme Court mourn the loss of a beloved colleague, a fiercely independent defender of the rule of law, and an eloquent advocate for civics education. And we celebrate her enduring legacy as a true public servant and patriot, he said. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky said in a statement that the nation mourns the passing of a towering figure in the history of American law. From her election as the first female majority leader in the history of American legislatures to her confirmation as the first female justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, Sandra Day O'Connor led with a brilliance and conviction that disarmed resistance. Her vote on the court frequently determined the majority in landmark cases, and the legacy of her role in landmark decisions, reviving federalism during her first several terms on the court, continues to resound in constitutional jurisprudence, McConnell said. In the mid-1990s and 2000, O'Connor provided decisive votes in two 5-4 decisions that found federal laws unconstitutional under the Commerce Clause, including sections of the Violence Against Women Act and a federal law that criminalized carrying a firearm within 1,000 feet of schools. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York said O'Connor was the conscience of the court. Schumer said in a statement issued Friday that O'Connor was one of the true historic figures of the 20th century. In decision after decision, Sandra Day O'Connor was often the key vote in defending the rights of Americans, in protecting clean air, in protecting women's rights, in protecting against discrimination, in protecting voting rights. I join Americans all across the country in mourning her passing today. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson of Louisiana, described O'Connor as a trailblazer and legal giant in a Friday morning post on X. As the first woman to ever serve on the Supreme Court, Justice O'Connor inspired a generation of women, including the 5 female justices that succeeded her, to chart a path that previously seemed unattainable, he said. Despite never serving as Chief Justice, she was widely regarded as the most powerful justice on the bench